Stalag 4. In Episode 7 of Masters of the Air, the American POWs are being kept in the Stalags controlled by the Luftwaffe. Since the Americans have also got their German counterparts in such camps, Egan and the others are treated fairly. Although it is nothing to write home about, American bravehearts from the 100th and beyond are surviving the war. They are keeping constant tabs on what's happening. Europe's invasion is imminent and the Allied powers haven't been able to gain too much ground. Egan, Cleven, and a few others from the 100th are found out during a standard German search of the cabin, leaving them with no contact with the outside world. Cleven proposes to make an impromptu crystal radio to bring back the communication lines. As the men are taking in the bombing of Berlin, which is audible because of the distant explosions, one of them is shot by a German soldier. Upon inquiry, they explain that Harry was out of his quarters when they were all supposed to stay inside. But no one is buying it. Egan frustratingly confesses that the Germans will find any opportunity to pick them off. The best friends are at odds as to their next course of action. While Egan believes they should try to escape, Cleven is of the opinion they should stay back. One night, while reading a letter from Marge, Cleven reveals to Egan that he proposed to her and she has accepted. At the time, Cleven didn't know if Egan was alive or not. But now, he makes Egan promise to be his best man at the wedding. Cleven's persistent efforts finally pay off as the radio becomes operational. On the night of March 24, 1944, the Americans learned that 80 British POWs in the north compound of the Stalag have escaped. They used tunnels that they had been digging for over a year to get away. General Similite calls a few of the American POWs to his office. He explains that as a result of these escape attempts, the Stalags may be shifted under SS and Gestapo command, subject to ongoing discussions. Similite discourages them from reprising these acts, while also hinting that Jews among their ranks will be separated. The Americans, however, do not stand for this and reject the call for segregation. Thorpe and Abbott's. Crossby's voiceover reveals that the 100th Bomb Squad has suffered so many casualties that the replacement crew have also been replaced. This has prompted some men to refrain from making new friends, as getting too attached in this fickle environment would be heartbreaking if they were to go down. Quinn and Bailey, who were being smuggled through Spain by French and Belgian allies, are finally back. Under the governing rules, they are all set to go back home because, in the event of their capture, those who helped them and the escape routes would be exposed. The central mission for the episode is the bombing of Berlin. Despite the scale of some of the other missions like Munster and Bremen, this is the most ambitious one till now. It is also the most dangerous given that the Americans will be attacking Germany at its heart. Rosie's crew are on standby for this one. They are at 24 successful missions now. One more and they get to go home. On the day of the mission, the Americans are handed a huge setback. Crossby narrates that the day of the mission came to be known as Black Monday. The 100th lost another 15 planes and crews. The Germans even shot down those who exited their planes in parachutes. The ones who made it back are in dire straits. It is chaos all around, but the dust will also settle on this as well. For now, the men need something to distract them from the war. Its repercussions on Crossby are clear as we learn he has started an affair with Sandra Westgate, the British subaltern. The men have hardly recovered from the Berlin mission when the brass sends yet another invitation to repeat it. Everything is exactly like the previous mission, including the routes. There is discontentment among the men, who feel that the ones giving the orders don't care if they live or die. Colonel Bennett has temporarily taken over as the CO of the 100th. To boost the morale of the men, he leads the wing formation on the mission. The target for this mission is the ball bearing factory in Ernst. One difference from the previous mission was the introduction of a fleet of P-51 Mustangs, who escorted the B-17 bomber planes into German territory. These new planes were the best fighters in the sky, even pipping their German counterparts in terms of speed and maneuverability. The mission is a flying success as the Americans bomb the factory and only lose one bomber plane. Rosie and his crew are among those who have made it back. It is time to finally go home, and the rest of the ground crew couldn't be happier for them. However, at the celebratory party, the other crew learn that the brass has upped the ceiling of successful missions to 30. Although Rosie and his men are not impacted by this rule change, he still feels heartbroken. Others, including Major Shones, are also demoralized, and the sentiment of discontent grows. In the wake of this new development, Rosie decides to stay back. He shares an intense and frank conversation with Bennett about his intentions. Rosie feels that instead of refreshing the 100th with new crew members, it would be wiser for the old crew to stay back for as long as they can and finish the war. Bennett also remarks that Rosie will be the new CO for the 350th Squadron in the 100th. The episode review. Billy Wilder's Stalag 17 is a sure-shot watch for those who found themselves invested by the Stalag subplot. The inspirations from the classic film are visible in many scenes, a few of which are facsimiles. The mood has drastically changed in the second half of the season as Masters of the Air branches out into different formats of storytelling. Episode 7 confirms the change in dramatic beats. There is also a shift in the narrative where Rosie has emerged as the cinematic protagonist. We earlier saw Cleven and Egan fulfilling that role, even Crossby to an extent. But Rosie is firmly positioned as the leader of the pack. Cross Ark continues to do well, although I am not too sure how much I like this digression with Westgate. He emerged as the model citizen in the earlier episodes, ticking all the boxes of social roles. The change is very visible, right from how he carries himself and how he is dressed. While Episode 7 isn't able to scale the heights of the show's best moments, it is a solid addition to the season's lineup.